What's up, everyone? And today I'm bringing a deck profile on my Vaylantz. Now, Vaylantz is a pendulum-based strategy that uses its zones and summons the pendulum monsters from their zones. It's got a lot of cool interactions, and without further ado, let's just get right into it. First, I run 3 copies of Shinome, the Vaylantz Priestess. Now, all the Valiants have a pendulum effect to where they can special summon themselves from the pendulum zone. They also have additional effects if their column is changed. So, Shinome, if you control a special summon card, you can add 1 Valiant spell from your deck to your hand. And if it's moved to another main monster zone, you can add 1 Valiant monster from your deck to your hand. So it's both their spell searcher and your monster searcher. Also run 3 copies of Buster Baron. Buster Baron, you target 1 other Valiant monster you control in the main monster zone. Move it to another main monster zone. So essentially, you can use Baron's effect to trigger the other Vaylantz effects. And Buster Baron's secondary effect is also pretty good as well. Discarding the monster zone is moved to another zone. You target 1 card in another player's pendulum zone, places it face up in its adjacent spell trap zone. So, which is a pretty solid effect. Also run 3 Mizuki, the Vaylantz Ninja. Mizuki is the one you use to go into your fusion monsters. Also run 3 Mad Marquess. Mad Marquess, you can roll a 6-sided die, activate that many cards from the top of your deck, and if you do, add 1 activated Vaylantz card to your hand. And if it's moved to another monster zone, you can roll a 6-sided die, and if you roll a 2, 3, 4, or 5, spell summon 1 monster from your spell and trap zone to your main monster zone. And it's same column, of course. Also run 3 copies of the Voltage Viscount. Viscount, when it's if you control a special summon card, you place 1 face up Vaylantz pendulum monster from your extra deck face up in your spell and trap zone as a continuous spell. And if it's moved to another monster zone, you can place 1 face up Vaylantz pendulum monster from your extra deck to your pendulum zone. So you can kind of swap cards out with your extra deck and your pendulum zone, which can come up situationally. Also run 2 Sion. I got Nizuki confused with one of the others. It's not the Fusion Zone one, that's actually the Hojo. But Sion, if you control the special summon card, you can target 1 effect monster on the field, toss a coin, and if the result is heads, negate its effects, or the result is tails, have its attack. So this is the Vaylantz is better going for second. Also run the 1 Dominator Duke. Dominator Duke, you can target a set card on the field or set card in the spell and trap zone. That set card cannot be activated this turn. So it's got a kind of like a light stage effect to basically freeze the activation. Then we got Hojo, which is for the fusion summons. Now I run 3 copies of Chronograph Sorcerer, 1 Astrograph, and 1 Time Gazer. Chrono Sorcerer can get you into the Time Gazer Magician, and also they're just very solid. They have a scale 8, while the Chronograph Sorcerer and the Time Gazer Magician do. Unfortunately, all the Vaylantz they have a scale of 1, so we need outside pendulums to help with pendulum summoning, and I use Chronograph Sorcerer to do that. I also run 1 Haishin Kyoto Spirit and Kaiden Kendo Spirit. Same reason as the Chronograph Sorcerer, they got a high pendulum scale. Next, I run Magical Libra. I don't have a copy of it, I can't find my copy of it, but essentially it's a pendulum that is a tuner. So having that gives you access to synchro plays, which is pretty cool. And this combined with, let's say, Chronograph Sorcerer or a good chunk of the Valiants, which are level 6, basically gets you a Baron de Fleur. Or not the Chronograph Sorcerer, the like Voltage Viscount or the level 5s. Next, I run 3 Solo Activation. Solo Activation, you can place a Vaylantz pendulum monster from your deck in your pendulum zone. And if a card is in the field zone, you banish this card from your graveyard to target 1 Vaylantz monster in your main monster zone. Move that target you control to an adjacent monster zone. So not only can it activate a pendulum monster from your deck, additionally, it can also trigger the secondary effects of the Valiant monsters. Also run 3 copies of Valiant Wars, the Place of Beginning. Now, Wars, you can add a Vaylantz fill spell from your deck to your hand, then you can apply the following effect. Destroy 1 pendulum monster you control, and if you do, add 1 Status Switch from your deck to your hand, which is definitely pretty good because Status Switch does come up very important in this deck. And additionally, if this card is in the graveyard, except turn it was sent there, you banish this card, place a face-up Valiant pendulum monster from your extra deck in your pendulum zone. So speaking of the Status Switch, I run 1 copy Status Switch, which like Baron, can trigger the effects of Status Switch, or trigger the secondary effects of the Vaylantz too, because they got their normal effects and then as well as ones that are activated when they move to a different column. I run 2 copies of Shinra Bancho. When this card is activated, place a Vaylantz field spell from your deck in your opponent's field zone, except Bancho. If there are 2 cards in your field zone, then the turn player can target 1 monster in their spell trap zone, and special summon it. Also run the 2 Kong Wyson. Now, Kong Wyson, I don't really like the effect as much, but you kind of need it because we only have 2 field spells. So usually what you do is you want to have the Shinra Bancho, use its effects, activate Kong Wyson with Kong Wyson's effect. But we do have ways to get rid of Kong Wyson. So also run the 1 Pendulum Paradox. Pendulum Paradox basically sends 1 face-up Pendulum monster for the same Pendulum skill, but different name from your extra deck to your hand. And then also got the 1 Pendulum Treasure, which is kind of like the reverse of the Paradox, which is to add a Pendulum monster from your deck to your extra deck. Moving on to the extra deck. I run 2 copies of Vaylantz Grand Duke. Grand Duke has a penalty effect to respells it from the main monster zone to your main monster zone in the same column. Then move 1 monster in your main monster zone to an adjacent column, which could be pretty good, but isn't really likely to come up too much because you have to get it in your pendulum zone, which isn't quite as easy. Now, this face down card in the extra deck must be first either fusion summoned or special summoned, retrieving 1 level 5 or higher non-fusion Valiant monster in the same column as the extra monster zone. So column zones is very important. And if this card is special summoned, you can target monster card in your opponent's opponent trap zone, return to the hand. If you inflict damage to your opponent equal to its original attack. Also run the 1 Mamonaka, the Vaylantz United. Really cool Vaylantz monster, also probably one of the harder ones to summon. During the main phase, quick effect, target effect monster opponent in your opponent's main monster zone. Place that opponent's monster zone face up as a continuous spell in the spell and trap zone. So it's like a bit of disruption in its own unique way. Also run 1 copy of Argytos. I'm sorry, I don't know Roman numerals, but requires 2 level 5 or higher Vaylantz monsters and can be summoned by drawing the above cards. Quick effect, switch the location of 2 monsters in your main monster zone and 2 monsters in your opponent's monster zone. And if this card in the monster zone moves to another monster zone, you can destroy 1 card on the field. So it's a little bit of removal in a way. Now for some XYZ monsters, I run the 1 Abyss Dweller, you run Daguerre's, just some generic rank 4s. Also run 1 copy of Hope Farminger, 1 copy of Gustav Max, and 1 copy of Zeus. Also run a Baron de Fleur, but this one is, I'd say, much easier, much more switchable. That really depends on what you want to focus on. I feel like Baron de Fleur is probably the easiest. Also run 1 copy of Beyond the Pendulum. Beyond the Pendulum is really cool, but has a cost that I really don't like. So if this card is link summoned, you pay 1,000 life points to add a Pendulum monster from your deck to your hand. But for the rest of the turn, unless you Pendulum summon after this effect resolves, you don't activate that monster's effects, or the effects of any cards in the Pendulum zone are negated. So you want to summon this out before you Pendulum summon. That way, as soon as you activate its effect, you can Pendulum summon, and the cost is almost non-existent. Also run the 1 Nightmare Unicorn, 1 copy of Saryuja Scoldred, more so for the arrows, 1 Apollosa, and 1 Axis Kotaker to help close out the games. Let me know, what do you think of Vaylantz? Think it's a pretty cool deck? Let me know in the comments and I'll see you next video I make. Bye.